Digambara, Digambara, Sripada Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Sai Natha Namaha. Sripada Srivallabha Charithamrutham, Chapter 10. Description of the forms of Narasimha Swami. I took the permission of Tirumala Das and continued my travel towards Kurvapuram. As I was recollecting the divine place of Sripada, a tingling thrill of horripilation overtook my body. On the way, I saw a holy Adambra tree at a distance. It was midday. I was very hungry. I thought of collecting alms from a Brahmin village if it was nearby. I thought that I could take rest under the holy Adambra tree and recover from the travel fatigue. I noticed that someone was resting under the shade of the Adambra tree, and as I went further, I could see that the person was wearing a holy thread. I came nearer to the Adambra tree. The stranger cordially invited me and asked me to sit down. Compassion was oozing from his eyes. There was a basket before him. There was no food in it, only a copper vessel was there. He was chanting the name of Sripada Srivallabha frequently. I asked him with eagerness, "Sir, are you a devotee of Sripada? Have you seen that great holy person?" He said, "Sir, I was born in a noble Vaishya family. My name is Subaya Sreshti. I lost my parents in childhood. There were abundant heaps of money in my house. I was going to distant places and conducting business with many varieties of sales and purchases. I was frequently going to Kanchipuram. I developed intimacy in that town with a prostitute by the name of Chintamani. I spent a lot of money lavishly on her. A Brahmin named Bilvamangla of the Palakadu town in Kerala was also visiting Kanchipuram for the purposes of trade. He was selling fragrant materials to Arabs in exchange for diamonds and horses. Sometimes both of us used to do joint trading activities. Kings and emperors were buying horses of high breed from us. Due to ill luck, both of us had fallen down from virtue because of our contact with the prostitute. For some time, our purchase and sale transactions with Arabs went well. Afterwards, they took lots of money from us, and instead of giving good horses, they gave us very inferior quality horses. We lost heavily in the business. With the losses in business, our properties were also lost. My wife died with mental anguish. I had a son who was mentally unstable. He also met with untimely death. Sri Pithikapuram with the Padgaya Tirth, which can be called as the best one among Tirthas, was my native place. On account of my ignorance, I was insulting deities and Brahmins. I was adopting cruel methods to collect repayment of loans. Once, a large number of relatives came from Ayyannavalli village to Sri Appalaraja Sharma's house. Sri Appalaraja did not have sufficient money to arrange boarding and other facilities for all of them. If approached, Sri Sreshti would have provided all the materials free of cost, as Sri Sharma was their family priest. It would then become a donation, but Sri Appalaraja Sharma did not want to accept any donation. Under unavoidable circumstances, he took articles costing 1 varaha from my shop on credit. After the departure of the relatives, I harassed Raja Sharma to repay the debt. Raj Sharma replied that he did not have any money with him at that time and that he would definitely clear the debt as soon as the money became available. I was an expert in collecting compound interest. Time was passing by. I added interest to interest and prepared bogus calculations. I demanded that Raja Sharma should pay me 10 varahas to settle the dues. Raja Sharma would need to sell away his house if he had to pay that much amount. According to the rates prevailing at that time, I could take over his house and just pay 1 or 2 varahas as the sale price. I was telling this before all people. My resolve was to expropriate Raja Sharma of his house. Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti, who noticed my ill intention, said, "You wicked fellow, you are prattling as you like, blinded by arrogance of riches. When you insult our revered family priest, it tantamounts to dishonoring us. Unless you change your ways, you will be put to heavy loss by harassing Raja Sharma, who is more pious than a blazing fire. You will fall into Raurav and other kinds of hell." Once, Sripada was at the house of Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti. I jeeringly said to Sreshti, "If Raja Sharma could not repay my debt, he can send one of his sons to serve in my shop, or he can himself serve there. One son is blind, the second one is lame, and the third one, Sripada, is 3 years old. Then how can my debt be cleared?" Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti was very hurt. Tears were flowing from his eyes like a torrent. Sripada wiped those tears with his divine hands. He said, "Grandfather, why fear when I am here? I am the one who killed Hiranyakashyap and Hiranyakasipu. Will it be difficult for me to redeem the debt of Subaya?" Sripada looked towards me and said, "I will clear your debt. Come on, let us go to your shop. I will serve in your shop and wipe out the debt due to you. After the clearance of the debt, Goddess Lakshmi will not reside in your house. Think carefully." Blinded by pride and very cruel by nature, I agreed to the proposal. Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti carried Sripada on his shoulders and brought him to my shop and said, "Subaya, I will work in your shop in the place of Sripada. Do you agree?" I agreed to it. In the meanwhile, an ascetic with matted hair came to me and asked about the location of Subaya Sreshti's shop. I told him that I was Subaya Sreshti and the shop where we met was actually mine. Then he said, "Sir, I want a copper vessel urgently. It does not matter even if the price is high. If you kindly give me the copper vessel immediately, I will take it and go away." I had 32 copper vessels, but I told him that I had only one copper vessel and that I would part with it if he could give me 10 varahas. He readily agreed, but he imposed one condition, that Sripada, who was sitting in the lap of Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti, should give the copper vessel with his own hands. Sripada agreed to that. The ascetic received the copper vessel from the hands of Sripada. Sripada laughed. The ascetic wearing matted hair also laughed. Sripada told the ascetic, "Your wish is satisfied. Goddess Lakshmi will stay in your house undistributed. Give up this ascetic order and return to your home. Your wife and children are waiting for you." The ascetic with the matted hair was full of happiness and left. I wished to put Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti and Appala Raja Sharma to shame. My desire was fulfilled on that day. I proudly said, "Today, with the sale of a copper vessel, I got plenty of money. I am of the view that the debt of 10 varahas which Appal Raja Sharma owed to me is repaid. Therefore, from the moment on Sripada is released from bondage." However, Sri Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti wanted that statement should be made by swearing on Goddess Gayatri as a witness. Since I was an unfortunate fellow, I did swear on Goddess Gayatri. My boy Shankar Bhatt, even if a small piece of copper is received from Avadhutas and Siddhas as a token of their grace, the receiver would derive abundant wealth. What a great fortunate one was that ascetic. He received from Sripada, the incarnation of Datta, a copper vessel in a gracious way. I was an extremely unfortunate one. From that moment, the spark of Goddess Lakshmi glowing internally in my body, mind and soul started diminishing. The sportive plays of Sripada are unimaginable and unthinkable. Every word uttered in his presence would come true. When I had 32 copper vessels, I lied that I was having only one. Sripada turned my lie into a truth. When I checked my shop after the departure of Sri Pinda Venkatappa Sreshti and Sripada, I found only one copper vessel instead of 31. I showed false accounts that I should get 10 varahas. By this sportive play, Sripada removed some misgivings of Sri Appala Raja Sharma. Dawn and dusk are very sacred times. Worship of fire in the early morning twilight and in the evening twilight yields admirable results. In the early dawn, all the energies of the sun god are ready to prevail. During dusk, all the energies of the sun god retreat and join him. Then I said, Sir, I heard before that by accepting a donation, the merit of good deeds would dwindle, but I heard only from you that non-acceptance of a donation would result in sin. I did not understand this. Not only that you are telling that Sripada is an incarnation of Sri Dattatreya, people say he is an incarnation of Narasimha and Shiva in different ways. I do not understand how the nature of Anasuya exists internally in Shiva. Kindly explain me in detail. Then Subaya Sreshti said, You are hungry. Sri Vallabha often instructs his disciples to give good water for drinking and good food for eating to anyone who comes to your house seeking food without considering the differences of race and caste. You take your meals first. There is a pond nearby. Please come here after cleansing yourself in the pond. In the meanwhile, I will bring 2 plantain leaves from the plantain trees seen yonder. Green cucumber with dal is the curry for the meals. It'll be very tasty, like a sweet elixir. I was astonished. There was nothing in the basket except for the copper vessel. There were no food, fruits or vegetable roots. Above all, he was saying that cucumber dal would be available as a dish for the meals. I went to the pond to wash my hands and feet. Subaya Sreshti went towards the plantain trees. After washing myself, I came back from the pond. Subaya Sreshti brought 2 plantain leaves. He collected leaves from the nearby palm trees and made small cups from them. I watched this strange happening with wonder. He closed his eyes and meditated for a while. After that, he poured water from the empty copper vessel into the 2 leafy cups. The flow of water from that empty copper vessel was a wonder. From the empty copper vessel, he then served the curry. Then he served rice from the empty copper vessel. Both of us had sumptuous and very tasty food as prasad. The copper vessel remained empty as before as we finished our meals. The effect of worship of Lord Shiva during Saturday evening twilight time. Sripada, an embodiment of all deities. Saturn is Karmakara, the one who makes people act. There are 2 shadow planets, Rahu and Ketu. Rahu gives results similar to Saturn. Ketu gives results similar to Mars. Saturn, the Karmakara, is the son of the sun, a witness to all karma. Therefore, evening dusk of Saturday is very powerful. Chaturthi and Trayodasi are strong tithis for Rahu. Hence, an individual who worships Shiva during the great sacred time of Shani Trayodasi during the evening twilight would be completely freed from the results of all heinous sins committed in previous lives. Sripada incarnated in the star Chitra, presided over by the planet Mars. Therefore, if Sripada is worshipped during the time of Chitra star, all afflictions of the planets would abate. The planet Mars is called the cause of wars, accidents, untimely death from weapons and missiles, leading a life with misery and indebtedness. Aruna means that which is sinless. During the time of Chitra star or on Tuesday, Sripada shines with crimson color. He remains in the form of Arunachaleshwara on that day. Hence, worshipping Sripada Srivallabha particularly on Tuesdays with Chitra star is very, very auspicious. Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti, Narasimha Verma and Bappanarya used to participate in the worship of Shiva during Saturday evenings. Appalaraja Sharma also used to observe very strict spiritual discipline on that day. Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Sumati Maharani was meditating upon the great aspect of Anasuya, which was indwelling in the form of Shiva. As a result of these great penances, the advent of Sripada took place. Sripada wanted to teach his father silently that on account of the above circumstances, any amount received from Sri Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti, Sri Narasimha Verma and Sri Vappanaraya cannot be construed as a donation. He wanted to make it clear that on the other hand, it was a great sin not to accept money from them. Shankar Bhatt, Sripada is an embodiment of all deities. His nature is a magnificent one which transcends all the forms of deities. Those who saw him, touched by him and conversed with him are indeed fortunate. Subhaya Sreshti began to narrate the news that Sripada redeemed his father from debt through the noble method spread like wildfire in Pithikapuram. Sripada was a lad of 3 years. Tears flowed from the eyes of Appal Raja Sharma incessantly. Sumati Maharani hugged her darling son to her bosom and remained for a very long time in a state of trance. Pinda Venkatappaya Sreshti, Narasimha Verma and Sri Bappanarya came to the house of Appala Raja Sharma. Sripada stated that it is the duty of a son to free his father from indebtedness. I was also invited to visit the house of Sri Appala Raja Sharma. I announced in the presence of all elders who assembled there that the debt of Sri Appala Raja Sharma was fully cleared. Appala Raja Sharma did not agree to that. Appal Raja Sharma questioned how his debt was repaid when some ascetic came and purchased a copper vessel by paying 10 varahas. Then an interesting discussion took place. Sri Bappanarya asked Sripada, "Do you know that ascetic with matted hair?" Then Sripada replied, "Not only that ascetic, I know about all the ascetics." The nature of Sripada. Bappanarya: "You are a boy of 3 years. You are uttering words that are much beyond your age. Are you omniscient?" Sripada says, "You all are thinking that my age is 3 years, but I do not think so. My age is many lakhs of years. I was in existence prior to this creation. I would continue even after the great pralaya. I would be there during the activities of creation. Creation, sustenance and liquidation would not take place without me. I observe all these as a witness." Bappanarya: Sripada, if a small child simply imagines that he is on the moon, it does not mean that he actually is on the moon. One must have direct experience. Omniscience, omnipotence and omnipresence are the attributes of the Lord of the universe only. Sripada: I am the primordial nature that steadily exists at all times and at all places. My existence reveals itself in accordance with the particular requirements of a particular time and place. It does not imply that I am not in existence at a particular place merely because I did not reveal myself. I stay in Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manumaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya koshas. These koshas carry on their functions only because of my presence. If I give you an experience of my dwelling in a particular kosha, you will feel that I am in that kosha. However, it does not mean that I do not reside in the other kosha simply because I did not give you an experience there. I pervade at all times and at all places. All knowledge and wisdom is at my feet. This creation was formed on the basis of my will. What is there to wonder in saying that I am omnipotent? Appal Raja Sharma: My dear, you are an enigma for us since your childhood. You are repeatedly saying that you are Lord Datta. You are also declaring again and again that you would come in another incarnation under the name Narasimha Saraswati. People are like crows. They are commenting in various ways, terming your actions as histrionics, mentally imbalanced idiocy, and skillful tricks. We are Brahmins. It is better that we observe the righteous acts prescribed for us. Going beyond that and proclaiming that we are incarnations and divine personages would be considered as arrogance. Sripada. Father, I do not deny what you say. However, I must speak truth only. When the matter of my milk debt came up, I felt entertained. If I ever that I am not Lord Datta, even after the 5 elements testify that it is so, would I not be guilty of speaking untruth? If someone tells the sun shining in the sky that he is not the sun, will the sun become someone else? Truth is conditioned by space and time. The Brahmins of Pitikapuram are experiencing human nature, feeling that they are living bodies and individuals. In the same manner, I am reminding you again and again that I am Datta with omniscience, omnipresence and omnipotence as my nature. Aeons may pass on, many worlds may undergo creation, sustenance and annihilation. But how is it that I, who am Datta himself, cannot be Datta? Papanarya says, Sripada, only 1 copper vessel remained instead of 31 after the departure of the ascetic. Have you played any trick and caused them to disappear? Sripada, everything will happen due to some cause cropping up from time and fate. No action is possible without a cause. This is a law in nature that cannot be violated. Subaya Sreshti was a priest in a Datta temple located in a forest region during his previous life. People rarely visited this Datta temple in the forest region. He was mad with lust for women. Obsessed with the desire for women, he sought to sell away the big copper idol of Datta, which was worshipped by his ancestors from ancient times. He gave the money thus received to his mistress. He told people that Datta idol was stolen by the thieves. The ascetic who came there was a goldsmith entangled in worldly affairs in his previous life. In his previous birth as a goldsmith, he melted the statue of Datta out of greed for money. He is now born in this life as a very poor man. As the priest served the idol of Datta for many years, he is now born in this life with a wealthy family on account of that merit. The idol of Datta, which was melted in their previous lives, was made into 32 copper vessels and was sold. The goldsmith was worshipping Lord Narsimha. He made these copper vessels in the presence of Lord Narsimha. Therefore, on account of the will of God, the essential attributes of 32 incarnations of Lord Narsimha entered into the copper vessels. The ascetic who had knowledge of his previous birth worshipped me and with undivided devotion. He prayed sincerely for the removal of his poverty. I appeared in his dream and asked him to come to Pitikapuram. I asked him to receive a copper vessel from my hand, and for that he should pay 10 varahas to Sreshti and thereby free him from the bondage. He did what I instructed him to do and became fortunate. I blessed that his financial problems may be solved in an unimaginable manner. He was moving in the guise of an ascetic to avoid trouble from those who lent him money. Thus, it ought to be clear that I know everything about that ascetic. This Subaya Sreshti tried to collect 10 varahas from our family unjustly. I arranged 10 varahas to him, but to compensate it, I withdrew all the good fortune earned by him in his earlier life. Subaya Sreshti, I know of your amorous affairs with Chintamani and all your vulgar and indecent acts. Your story will remain as a comedy in the human history. You will live selling eatables, carrying them in a small wooden basket. You will sell them to small children like me. My parents arranged meals to the relatives with the money received from you. I know better than you about the false calculations when determining the interest for the money lent. The money given by you was sufficient just to cook food, dal and loofah for the relatives. The hard-earned money of my father was used to procure other materials for the meals for the relatives. When you meet with a miserable state and you cannot even get food otherwise, this copper vessel will supply you with only water, rice, dal and lufa. Only that much food sufficient for you to eat, and to serve any other would be available. Sripada spoke very strongly. The countenance of Sripada was formidable with divine brilliance. His eyes looked like two globes of fire. Then he said again, Subaya Shreshti, a buffalo would come to the southern gate of your house this night. That is the message sent by Yam Dharmaraja that your death is very near. But I am showing you mercy. Feed that buffalo with rice, dal and lufa that was cooked with your own hands. That buffalo has only one wish. After eating, the buffalo would die instead of you. From that moment, you would receive intimation after intimation that you are becoming terribly impoverished. Take the basket and follow my instructions. When you come across a situation where you cannot get even rice, the copper vessel will help you. I show you mercy. Thus spoke Sripada with a stern voice. Venkatappaya Sreshti was frightened seeing an angry Sripada. Then Sripada said, Grandfather, are you afraid? I am actually Narasimha Murthy. Let there be no doubt. My nature is that of Sripada and Srivallabha. You are thinking that I will curse the Vaishyas caste. You are agitated that I will curse all Vaishyas to become poor, just as Mother Vasavi gave the curse that Vaishyas would have less beauty. Don't fear. God will not differentiate caste and creed. In the same way, a devotee has no differentiation of caste and race. My relationship with Arya Vaishyas is very old. Bapanarya and Labda Maharshi in the previous yuga. I am granting you a boon. Even when the lineage of Labda Maharshi in Vaishyas gets extinct, I am blessing the family of Bapanarya till the end of Kali Yuga. I am giving you a different kind of basket. This basket is full of Datta sweets. Even when you give those liberally, the stock of sweets will not diminish. This will not be visible to the naked eye, as all the 32 attributes of Narasimha are in me. Mine is the 33rd incarnation. Therefore, during the 33rd generation of your family, during the 33rd generation of Sri Bapanarya's family, and during the 33rd generation of Sri Vatsavai Narasimha's family, my padukas would be installed exactly at the place of my birth in the house of Sri Bapanarya, where I was born. This is my assurance to the families of Vatsavai, Maladi, and Sri Venkatappaya Sreshti. If anybody in your families adores the divine magnificent form of Sripada Srivallabha in any of the traditional ninefold devotion methods, the dogs of Datta would stand as sentinels to them in an invisible form. Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads constantly protect them as invisible hounds and in other invisible forms. My padukas will not be installed in Pithikapuram in any other way except the way I said today. I will always be bound to my promise. Our house gets handed down through many hands and will reach your descendants. This will be called as Datta Nilayam. I came in the form of Avadhuta and asked Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi and gave darshan to Sumati Mata in front of this house. My brother in his next birth with the name of Sridhara will be famous as a partial Datta manifestation and will come to this place 3 times in the form of a dog, subtle form, on Saturday. We shall continue the next episode from here. Om Sai Ram.